Hey everyone, it's your favorite funny Minecrafter here, SpeedyCube64, and today I present to you my very own sub 20 minute Minecraft speedrun. Now, this took a lot of time to get, so if you enjoyed this run, please consider subscribing. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and you can always unsubscribe if you like. This run was the end result of around 4 months of grinding. As you can see, it took over 1,000 attempts. Most of those attempts were ended as soon as I spawned into the world and noticed there was nothing I could use to my advantage. So this spawn was pretty good. I end up spawning in right next to a desert village, and but as I load in the terrain there, you can see that there's a temple right there. So I have both of those structures I can use to my advantage. I am acquainted with hypermodern strats, and I use them in some of my personal best runs, but oftentimes I'm finding now that I just can't really get the shipwreck and magma ravine combination that's required to get a good, a decent overworld. So I try to go with village strats whenever I can. Sometimes I do structureless as well, which is where you just mine iron ore in a cave and smelt it that way and kill animals for food and all that. So I have to decide whether to go to the temple first or the village first, and I decide to go for the temple first. The reason being is that when I the way the temple is, specifically the amount of iron in it, helps determine how I'll play the village. If I get about 3 iron in the temple or more, then I won't have to trade for a bucket while I'm in the village, because I can because I'll have the iron I need to make that bucket from the temple. But if I don't get any iron in the temple, I can just reset, or I could play the village normally where I trade for a bucket. So I go into the temple. It's a bit of a walk, but that's fine. I'm going to use a TNT explosion to loot the temple, because it saves me the time of searching through those chests, and it also gets me a stack and a half of blocks, roughly. And as you can see, I do get some iron in the temple. I get 3 iron, and I get 2 golden apples, and a little bit of string. However, I forgot about the golden apples, so I don't actually end up using them during the rest of the run. So now I'm heading over to the village, and as you can see there, in front of me, there is a ruined portal with a gold block sticking out of the ground. But I can't actually get that gold block yet, so instead I just go for the hay. And I actually get like way more hay than I needed here. I only need like around 10 or so blocks of hay, but I forgot for a second that I wasn't going to be trading any wheat for a bucket. So I autopiloted and got like way too much hay. Like I could have just gone with like 10 hay bales and that's it. Anyway, this iron golem just died as soon as they hit it once, which obviously if you've killed it before, it takes like 8 hits. My guess is that it was either fighting other mobs while I was looting the temple, or it was suffocating in the sand. Either way, that is some crazy luck right there, independent of the seed, and I've actually never seen that happen in a run before, so that's pretty nice. I organize my inventory, you know, make my tools, throw out all the crap I don't need, which is a lot because I got every item in a desert temple, and I spend this time looking for a lava pool, but I can't see one, so I realize I'm gonna have to dig down for a lava pool. I also craft a boat that I never end up using, but it is there just in case I want to reduce fall damage in the nether by doing a boat drop. Now, you may have noticed that I actually just completely forgot about the ruined portal that was there earlier, and you'd be correct, but since I get a Bastion anyway in the nether, I don't really need to use that gold block. The loot that was in the chest in the portal could have helped me. It had some gold armor and a fire charge, specifically, but since that chest was buried in the sand, I probably would have had a hard time finding it anyway. You might also notice that I'm behind on pace for entering in the nether. And you're correct, this overworld is pretty slow, but as you can see, it was worth just sticking through and playing the run out. So I dig down to lava, and as you can see in a short moment, I actually end up next to the lava, which is pretty cool. You'd say I narrowly avoided a fiery death there. I begin to make my portal setup, which, by the way, this setup for the portal was created by C-Skull. Go check him out. If you didn't know, he just got the world record in the 1.7 category, which is very nice, and I'd recommend you watch it. Anyway, while clearing out that portal, clearing out the lava pool to make that portal, I see that there are diamonds there, so I decide to go for them. Whether or not this saved time, I actually don't know. Obviously, I have to take time to get these diamonds, but making a diamond pickaxe helped with mining blocks faster, so I honestly don't know whether or not this saved time. As I'm heading into the nether here, you can see that my spawn is both lucky and unlucky. I spawn next to a bastion, but I spawn in probably the most inconvenient part of the bastion. I'm all the way at the back and all the way at the bottom, with a huge lava pit separating me in the front. I'm also walled off on that other side, so I decide what I really have to do is just make my way over to the front of the bastion and see what type it is. And this is probably the worst part of the run. I make a lot of mistakes here. My movement is really slow. So while you watch me painfully struggle to move like 40 blocks out, I'll say this. Since this run took about 4 months to get, if you're a player looking into speedrunning this category, that's probably how long it'll take for you to get sub 20. Also, I'd like to mention that there is a relatively new trick called microlensing, or some people call it E-ray, where you can locate bastions using your entity counter in the F3 screen. However, since I spawned next to a bastion, I didn't need to use this technique. Watch me painfully, slowly build a bridge outwards to meet the bridge of this bastion. It's just terrible to watch, honestly. So I finally, after long enough, make it to the chalice, which is where I start to mine gold. In my previous personal best, I started mining gold at around 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and you can see in this run it's around 7 minutes in. This means that this is around 2.5 minutes slower than the previous PB I did, which was a 21:57. But obviously, since you're watching this and it's sub 20, I end up making this time up by having a faster nether in general. One of the things I noted in that 21:57 was that I should learn dip route, and I did just that. You can see I get these stairs, head over to the top of the bastion, dig down. Well, first I have to block this lava off, of course. I place these stairs and break a gold block so that the piglins get angry at me. This takes kind of a long time to set up, but since I'm trading with so many piglins at once, it definitely saves time in the long run. In addition to learning the dip route, I also learned the manhunt route for the housing bastion, but obviously since this is a housing bastion, you unfortunately don't get to see that in a run. I see this piglin is not very cooperative with me, so I just decide to throw him off the ledge there. Now, while these piglins are trading at Mach speed, I decide to go and loot the ramparts of the bastion to see, mostly for obsidian, but also for extra golden string that I could find in there. I see the left rampart and the chest is in there, but it's buried under netherrack and I have no clue where it is, so I decide just to skip it for now. After throwing pretty much the last of my gold into the piglin hole, I decide to go to the right side, and luckily this side is a triple chest, which is good. You can see that I have an absurd amount of obsidian in these chests. I have 18, which is pretty cool. Now I don't have to worry about low rolling on obsidian, because I already have enough to make 2 nether portals. I go back to my piglin hole and pick up what's there, throw the gold back, and I know that I already have over a stack of pearls. I have half a stack of string, and I don't have any fire resistance yet, but I have more than 20 obsidian, which is pretty much all that I need. The amount of string I need in total is around a stack and a half to make like 7 or 8 beds to be safe for the one cycle. I could have gotten some beds for the village, and that would have required less string, but I didn't get any beds from the village, partially because I was behind on pace, and partially because I just forgot to do so. I notice now that not only do I have over 2 stacks of pearls, but the piglins dropped some more. So after clearing out my inventory a little bit, you notice that I have almost 3 stacks of pearls, which is definitely a high roll for 2 stacks of gold. Once I get 3 fire resistance potions, I decide I'm done with the Bastion, and I decide to head from the positive quadrant of the Bastion, of the Nether, sorry, to the negative quadrant. If you know anything about these Nether quadrants, you know that only one structure can spawn per quadrant, so I need to go to a different one in order to find the fortress. I throw some pearls there. They don't go exactly where I want them to because of 1.9 pearl physics being different, but it's pretty close. After throwing the pearls, I realize that I'm not far enough in the negative x direction that I would like to be, so I decide to take a left and move farther in that direction. And it takes a couple seconds, but I notice that there is a hallway sticking out which leads to the fortress. After doing this run, I looked into the Nether and I realized that I would have found the fortress anyway had I just continued to go straight, but you know, it doesn't really matter. I go this way and it's a dead end, but I go the other way and what do you know, the blaze spawner is right there, so I don't need to spend 5 years looking for it. About the blaze fight in general, the blazes were, the blaze drops were mediocre, but the spawn rates definitely made up for it. There were some times when blazes spawned so fast that before I was even killing one batch of blazes, another batch spawned. So I was able to kill a lot of blazes in quick succession, but they tended not to drop a lot. In this run, I end up getting 7 blaze rods out of 18 blazes, which is pretty mediocre luck. It's in the 24th percentile of luck, so it's not, you know, insanely unlucky, but it obviously could have been better. Nevertheless, as I said earlier, the spawn rates made up for it. You can see here, I kill these 3 blazes, and I get basically nothing. So, while I'm killing these blazes, I decide to do, you know, some miscellaneous things while I wait for these blazes to spawn. This includes getting more wood, and it also includes inventory management. Another thing, and this is a tip I would recommend to other runners, is that while waiting for these blazes to spawn, I craft my beds. Or at least I begin crafting my beds. Some runners prefer to craft their beds in the end while waiting for the dragon to perch, but the problem with this is that if the dragon perches while you're crafting the beds, you won't be able to respawn to the perch and do the one cycle. You'll basically need to either wait for the next perch or just lose your run. So that's why I decided to start crafting my beds here. But, you know, first, before crafting my beds, I craft 2 golden pickaxes for some reason. I didn't actually end up needing them, and while I'm doing that, the blazes spawn, so I kill them. But I crafted those golden pickaxes because it's fast assuming I had a slower pickaxe like an iron one. But since I already have a diamond one, those golden pickaxes really don't do much except clog up inventory space. You see I'm struggling to get this blaze, and it drops nothing, of course, because these drop rates aren't that great. Hey, at least it's still better blaze luck than Sizzler. Anyway, I throw out these golden pickaxes, realize I don't need them. I make a golden shovel instead, because I realize that if I do need a gold tool, it's a shovel, because my current one is stone, which is a bit slow. I also make an iron axe, but I really don't end up needing this. In fact, these 2 blazes are the only place you actually see me using this iron axe. Anyway, after getting my 7th blaze rod, I decide I'm done killing blazes, and I decide to craft the rest of my beds, and then set up my first blind travel location. Sometimes I decide to stick around for getting 8 or 9 rods, but let's just say that I'm glad I didn't do that in this run. Since I have such an absurd amount of obsidian, I know that I can make another nether portal if this one is too far away from the stronghold. So what I do here is a little trick that I can use to basically gauge roughly how far away I am from the stronghold. I take the first angle of this eye I throw, which is around -98, and then I throw an ender pearl to the side and throw another eye of ender from there. Depending on the change in angle, I can tell roughly whether the stronghold is close to me or pretty far away from me. There's no real math involved in this, it's just a qualitative estimate. But since the angle change was only around 1 degree, I know that the stronghold is pretty far away and that it's in the east direction. Luckily, I can make a second portal because the terrain here allows me to travel east with with relative ease. You can see there I thought that the terrain might have been a dead end, but it actually opens up into another waste biome, which is really nice and easy to traverse. Before I got this run, I was basically convinced that any sub 20 pace, I got would have required a really close blind travel on the first try. But since you're watching this, that's not really true. Sub 20 is possible with blind travel or educated travel. So I go as far as this terrain allows me to go. I'm not really counting blocks at this point, I'm just eyeballing it. But I know that this portal will be a lot closer to the stronghold than that last one. And it is. This portal actually ended up being around 200 or so blocks away from the stronghold, which is nice. I threw that Eye of Ender and it went behind me, which means I passed it. And I run past these mobs, I get hit because I'm really bad. And you can see here, I'm going to replace my water with lava, and I get a strange bucket glitch that I haven't really seen before. That lava is just chilling, not affected by the water. Nice job, Mojang, very cool. Anyway, I pearl towards the area because I have basically a crap ton of them, and I don't really need them for anything else. It should also be noted that I was a bit lucky to end up in a plains biome, which is easy to navigate, as opposed to something like a jungle or a mountain, which is really hard to get to. Anyway, I climb up this tree to throw one more eye, and it ends up making a hard right, which means I'm pretty close to the stronghold, because that angle change was drastic. So I know at this point I need to set up my triangulation. So I go to flat ground to start it, and obviously this triangulation could have been a lot faster. I'm no professional at this, but it is what it is. Obviously it was good enough. After throwing this one eye, I head to the right and throw one more eye so I can get an estimate of what chunk the stronghold is in. And where those two lines meet is where the stronghold is. After looking to see where my eye of ender went, it broke. I head over to the chunk where those two lines meet, and I end up throwing one more eye just to make sure that I'm not one chunk off by mistake. Since the eye goes straight down, I know that this is the exact chunk I want, so I go to 4-4 within this chunk and start digging down. At this point in the run, the time is already almost 18 minutes, so I realize that I'm going to have to hurry up if I want a PB, let alone sub 20. I dig down to the stronghold using the diamond pick, which is definitely saved a little bit of time over using an iron one. And I head in the middle like a true centrist. I decide to ignore this chest that's in the stronghold, which didn't really have anything in it I needed anyway. I go here and I notice that there's a ravine cutting through the stronghold. If the end portal was in this relative area, it would have been a pain to get to. But luckily, I don't have to worry about that because it's right here. I find this end portal room super quickly, and on top of that, it's a 3-eye. So that was a little fun bonus. That's an 8.2% chance of happening, by the way. Pretty cool. Anyway, at this point, I'm still not really expecting to get sub 20. I'm thinking a sub 20 is possible, but I would need a really good perch to get it. I set up the obsidian. I go over to this place where the towers are, and I end up hurling up this tower just to save a little bit of time and get myself high quicker. Not on drugs, like in altitude. Whether this run ends up being sub 20 will depend heavily on whether the dragon decides to cooperate. And spoiler alert, you're watching this, he did. So that's cool. Thanks, dragon. I pillar up because pillaring up makes you have a higher chance of perching. I get to around y equals 128. And I see this dragon is on the far side, so I'm thinking, oh crap, he might actually perch soon. I tell him in the chat to perch, but he already knows what's up. He's cool. He's good. He's my homie. I make it into the well just in time for the 1 cycle, and it takes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beds to complete the 1 cycle and finish the game. Obviously this run is still improvable, but since all I wanted was sub 20, I'm happy with this run. And with that, I say, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, buy my merch, check out T-Skull's world record, and as always, stay speedy. Peace.